Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be discussing how I prep for a certification exam, but first let's make some coffee. Preparing for an exam is something that you will have to do whether you're in university or in school, or you're prepping for a technical certification or any certification for that matter. My tips on studying are very simple. My first tip is very stupid, but it is technically true, and that's study. You have to put in the time. If you do not put in the time to earn your certification and take the time to study, then you're not going to make it very far. Most of the exams, if not all exams, are going to be worded sometimes differently that can trip you up. And if you do not understand the technologies or the topic that you are studying, when you get to the exam, you may not do so well. A couple of resources that I use is CBT Nuggets. This is an online training center. CBT Nuggets is great. They offer a large variety of certification paths. Be sure to check those guys out. My second thing that I use is the official cert guidebooks for CCNA, Cisco. I'm now working on my Encore exam, and I use that certification book to help me study. My third thing that I use is Udemy. Udemy is also a website that you can purchase video courses off of, and these video courses range from pretty much any topic. You can even do stuff that's not technical, and really any resource that you can find. I even use YouTube a lot of times. YouTube videos are great. YouTube has a lot of resources, so be sure to also research on YouTube some topics, but be very careful because sometimes you could run across someone that is explaining the topic and they may not know it as well, and you may get misinformation. So be sure you research the video that you're looking, look at the technical background of that person, and also reference multiple sources. Sometimes you don't make time to study. Depending on your lifestyle, you could be very busy, but I just recommend that everyone really takes the time to study. Now, I know that seems simple, but again, depending on your schedule, you may be married, you may have kids, you may work a full-time job, or all the above, and those sometimes can get in the way of your study time. Even if it's just 5 minutes, be sure to study. And that is my first thing that I always do to prepare for an exam. My second thing that I do to prepare for an exam is picking a date. Now, whether you're going to pick a date mentally or you sit down on the calendar and say, this is the day that I want to take the test, one or two of those things. Now, for me, for my CCNA exam, I actually did set out and I said, I think I can be prepared for both exams within 6 months, and go take the ICND1 within 3 months of studying, and then go take the ICND2 for the full CCNA within 2 to 3 months. And I set the both exams, and I went and did it, and I actually passed first try. Picking an exam date can sometimes benefit you, and ways that it can benefit you is if you set that exam date, it's going to pressure you and it's going to give you a time frame. And if you put the money where the mouth is, so to speak, you go ahead and cash in and pay for that exam, it's going to force you to go ahead and take the exam on that day, whether you're ready or not. Now, you can cancel the exam if you do feel you're not ready. And that is one thing I do recommend. If you get to your exam day and you honestly do not feel ready, cancel it. There's no shame in that. Just reschedule it. It's not that big of a deal. But if you do feel prepared, and you do think that you can be done by a certain time, schedule your exam. It's going to give you motivation to finish it by a certain time frame. And again, if you physically mark it down and you pay for it, that's great. Another option is mentally set a time frame for yourself. Mentally say, I think I can prepare within 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever the time frame is. But it has to be compatible with you. Don't set an unrealistic time frame for yourself. Don't say, I want to complete my CCNP exam within 3 weeks. That's going to be a lot of studying and you're going to be drained. Don't do that. Set a reasonable time frame for your exam and get it done. My third thing I do when preparing for an exam is finding my weaknesses. Now, you can do a couple of different things to find your weaknesses. You can take practice. You can take practice exams. You can do labs. You can do pretty much anything. A great resource that I use to find my weaknesses is actually a paid software called Boson ExamSim. These guys are great. I used it for my ICND 1 and 2, and actually most of the time they do have some pretty good deals going on. I'll be sure to link all of these resources down in the description. Check these guys out also. What I really like about them is when you are taking an exam and you're going through these questions, they're going to be worded almost identical. And when I say almost identical, they're not going to be the same questions that are on the exam, but they are worded very similar enough till you feel like you're taking the actual exam. And most of the time I've noticed that the actual exam from Boson is a lot harder. So they are extremely great. But one thing that I'd like to point out about them that makes them so important, when you're taking the exam with Boson, if you miss something, it tells you why you missed it. And this is extremely beneficial, especially when you have so many topics to cover and technical certifications. The exams, when you take them, if you miss something, it will tell you where you got it wrong, why you got it wrong. And also it gives you references to Cisco official documentation and also the books. My fourth tip for how I prep for my exam is actually the week prior to your exam. Be sure that you don't overstudy yourself. So you're going to want to make sure that you have taken the time to study that week, but you're also going to want to make sure that you don't overdo it. Mental fatigue is real. And when you're doing Cisco certifications or any certification like that, you will probably get burnt out at some time. I can speak for this myself. Once I completed my CCNA, I told myself that I was going to jump straight into the CCNP. I actually didn't end up doing that. I took my CCNA exam and I actually relapsed, so to speak, and I waited a pretty long time. And unfortunately, because of that, I wasn't taking the time to catch up on topics. I wasn't reading over any material, and the inevitable happened. I ended up forgetting some of the stuff that I learned in the CCNA, and then I have to go back and refresh myself on that now. That is something you don't want to do, but a week prior to your exam, be sure not to over push yourself. Don't concentrate on, I need to study 16 hours because I'm taking the exam next week. Focus on your hard hit areas, stuff that really hits you hard. So if you're struggling with EIGRP, study EIGRP. Boson exams are also great for that because not only will they help you learn from your mistakes, but they'll also tell you your weakness areas and what chapters those correlate to the book in. So again, I can't recommend them enough. My fifth and final tip for how I study and prep for my exams is the day of. It's stressful. You're going to have butterflies in your stomach. You're going to think, surely I'm going to fail. No matter what I try, I'm going to fail this exam. And that's normal. That's human. That's part of being human. You're going to think that no matter how hard you prepped for your exam, that you are going to fail. For both exams, I sat in the car. I'm somebody that has a lot of anxiety, and I thought that I was going to die. My butterflies were turning in my stomach. It was running through my head. Well, when I fail, I'm going to have to take it again. That was the way I was thinking, and it was not positive thinking. You need to be thinking, when I pass, what is my next step? So when you get there, if let's say you're taking the exam and you're going to have to go in person. Now, I can't vouch for the online exams that they're doing now because I haven't had to do that yet. But when you are taking the exam, and you get there, relax. I know that's hard to do. Here's some tips for that. I listen to music. I found some music that I really enjoy listening to. I played it. My first time going into the exam, my ICND 1 and my ICND 2, my second time, I made a huge mistake by studying while I was in the car. I mentally fatigued myself. I clogged my brain with stuff. And by the time I got into the exam, it actually made it worse. Had I listened to music and relaxed like I did on my second exam, even though on my second exam I did cram a little bit when I got there, I still thought about it. I was like, hey, I made this mistake the first time around. I'm gonna be okay. Started listening to music, relaxing. So just be sure to chill, relax, breathe, lay your seat back, close your eyes, don't fall asleep. Close your eyes, breathe, listen to the music. Focus. Don't sit there and focus on the exam or anything like that. Focus on yourself for a moment and tell yourself everything's going to be okay. Pass or fail, I'm going to make it the next day. I'm going to be alive the next day. Yes, sometimes you do fail in life. Sometimes you will fail the exams. When you do, get up, Don't kick yourself. Maybe take a little small window to relax and then get right back into it. That's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that somebody will come across this and it will help you with your certifications, whether it be for your CCNA, NP, IE, whatever certification you're going for. I really hope this video is beneficial to you. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see you next time.